to the Sheikah Stones. In this video, I'm going to take a user request and rank my favorite Legend of Zelda games in order. This is a really interesting idea, and I was running short of ideas, so I thought I would run with it. Anyways, I'm sure you guys are going to disagree with some of my placements here. I don't exactly follow the usual, oh, Ocarina of Time is the greatest Zelda game ever idea that a lot of fans have. So feel free to get enraged and let me know in the comments. Anyways, I'm going to start off at number 15. I'm just doing a top 15. Yes, there's more than 15 games. I'm excluding some of them like the CDIs. I'm linking or I'm combining the Oracle games together, stuff like that. So top 15. Number 15. I'm going to write this one in. This is also one of the most recent additions to the Zelda series, and it is Spirit Tracks. Absolutely hated this game. It's by far my least favorite Zelda game. Link on a train, that doesn't fly with me. The gameplay was just very limited. Because you're on a train, there's very minimal overworld exploration. The boss fights were silly. Yes, it was more challenging than some of the recent handheld Zelda games, but even then, hardly put up a challenge. The only way you could die at this game, if you've played more than one Zelda game your entire life, was just because you would die of boredom while riding the train. So, Spirit Tracks. Next one, I'm going to go ahead and put in Phantom Hourglass. So you can tell I really dislike the DS Zelda games. To me, they're just nothing compared to the earlier entries to the handheld Zelda series. Phantom Hourglass is the prequel to Spirit Tracks, same graphics engine, which is kind of modeled off of the Wind Waker. In Phantom Hourglass, you ride like a little steamboat instead of a train. I'm not a big fan of these whole vehicles of transportation being overused. It's one thing to have it in the Wind Waker, it's another thing to make every single technology available. Next thing we know, we're going to be riding a minecart and going across Hyrule everywhere, or maybe a plane, the mystical train or plane. So anyways, 13, moving on up. Let's see, I'm going to have to say, let's put Four Swords. Now, this is hardly a bad game. It's just what it is. It's just a small add-on to A Link to the Past. It was just a little Game Boy edition, and it wasn't a full-fledged Zelda game. I mean, I don't dislike it by any means. The Four Swords Anniversary Edition was a little bit better because it had some extra content in there, and you were able to play with other people, and it was free, so it was a nice addition, but overall, it just wasn't anything that stood out to me as being that great. Now, it's definitely going to seem like I have a trend going on here, because number 12 I'm going to put at another handheld entry to the game, and that's the Minish Cap. Minish Cap was made by Capcom, flagship, and it was kind of their second attempt at the series. They did the Oracle games, which were fantastic, so you know they're going to be up in this area. And the Minish Cap, to me, just wasn't as good. It was a lot shorter, it was really easy. I do like that it dealt with body, and it kind of stepped away from the whole Ganondorf idea of the Zelda series. But at the same time, the Minish Cap was just way too easy for me. I did not die a single time during the game. The hardest part was the last boss, which again wasn't that difficult. And to me, the Minish Cap, while it was a solid entry to the series, it was the game that started the decline in the handheld generations, which just kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth, so it makes me dislike it a little bit. So, next one from here, I'm going to have to go with A Link to the Past. Now I'm going to get torn apart for this one. I love this game, I really do, but A Link to the Past, to me, was just, I couldn't get into it. I know lots of people consider it one of the greatest Zelda games, next to Ocarina of Time, maybe Majora's Mask, but A Link to the Past, to me, just wasn't as good as some of the other games. I prefer a lot of the 3D games, and this was, I mean, A Link to the Past for the time was fantastic. To me, it just didn't age very well. The music is mediocre. Gameplay is great for a Super Nintendo game. Some of the controls are iffy at times for me. The menu system I wasn't a fan of. And I just felt like it got really redundant once you left the light world and went to the dark world. But still a great game. I hope you guys don't get mad about its placement so low down. From here, I might have to put, let's see, Four Swords Adventures. I'm just going to abbreviate it. Four Swords Adventures, again, this was released on the GameCube. Lots of people did not get to play Four Swords Adventures because it did require you to have, if you wanted to play the multiplayer aspect of it, it required you to have the Game Boy Advances with the hookup to the GameCube, and just not a lot of people were willing to buy those accessories. Because of that, it did not sell very well and was often overlooked. But to me, thankfully I had a twin brother. We had all the equipment, and we played the hell out of this game. And there's nothing more fun than like messing with your partner, not letting them go on. If they're trying to get like the item that you want, just like blocking away and refusing to move on. It's a lot of fun to just like mess around while still working together to complete the goal. The game did have a single player aspect, which was essentially the same game, but obviously you control all four links. And number 10. Number 9, I'm going to go ahead and put The Legend of Zelda. This is the first game in the series, a lot of fun. At the time, revolutionary. It was one of the first games that allowed you to just explore all over the place. I mean, people were calling Nintendo's helpline constantly with questions because there was no direction. You just got to explore, had a top-down perspective, which was like just genius for the time. But it aged horribly. I did not play the Nintendo as a kid. I wasn't even born when this game came out, and I didn't play it until I was in high school on the Game Boy Advance when Nintendo released all the like old Nintendo games again. So to me, that kind of ruined the game experience, perhaps. But that puts it at number 9. And right above it, I'm going to put The Adventure of Link. A lot of people may think that it's Adventure of Link is considered the black sheep of the series. It's nothing like any of the other Zelda games. You have the side-scroller perspective with that kind of beat-up overhead when you're actually traveling around. It really seems to have nothing to do with the Zelda series. The bosses and everything are weird that you never see again, and the dungeons are just nothing like what we see. But to me, the music in Adventure of Link is in my top 3 favorites. The gameplay, you have spells, you level up. It's like a traditional kind of RPG where you like gain experience, and it had a lot of gameplay elements that I think would be great to see in the Zelda game once again. So to me, that puts it up here. So above Adventure of Link, I'm going to put Twilight Princess. Again, I'm sure this one will get me kind of torn to pieces as well. Most people expect it to be in the top 3. I'm getting looks from my girlfriend who loves the game, but I was not excited about Twilight Princess. I'm writing things really in a hurry here. So, Twilight Princess, when I first saw the trailer, E3 2004, I mean, that game got so much attention. It was just overly hyped, and we will not see the release of that game for years. Nintendo just had massive delays. It dragged on, and the final product was nothing like what we were presented in the original trailer. We didn't have this massive army. We had this like wolf combat thing, which I was never able to get around. And while the graphics were nice to have like an adult kind of darker, mature Link, to me that's not what the game series is about. And it just didn't like give the series due credit. The gameplay just felt like a dark Ocarina of Time with some tacked on wolf and Twilight Realm segments. The story was great. Midna and the whole Twilight Realm was a lot of fun, but to me it just didn't stand up to the hype. Maybe that's just because Nintendo kind of failed at keeping expectations down with everything. So next I'm going to have to put Ocarina of Time. My handwriting is fantastic. Again, lots of people think Ocarina of Time should be up there, but to me, I disagree with that. It is a great game. I'm not going to say otherwise. Again, it's one of those that I did not play on the original console. I did not have a Nintendo 64 growing up, and I did not play the game until the GameCube Collector's Edition. And maybe that took away some of the magic, but I had already played the Wind Waker before I played Ocarina of Time, which made the Wind Waker just so much better. And I didn't have that experience of going from the Link to the Past to Ocarina of Time and just being amazed by it. But what I do like about Ocarina of Time is the story was fantastic. It is the game that allowed the split timeline and kind of got everybody all confused and speculating. It's great for the fans. It has all those, like, oh, does Link love Zelda? Maybe Link loves the farmer girl. It's like all over the place. It has a lot of lore and fandom in it. The music's fantastic. It's not my favorite by any means, but Ocarina of Time just did not stand up to being in my top 5. Though the Ocarina of Time 3D remake was a lot better, and it had the Master Quest version, which gave the game a lot of replay value and kind of strengthened it, but I'm not judging on that. I'm judging it as a game on a whole, so number 6. Number 5, I'm going to have to put Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening was my first Zelda game. It's the one that got me hooked on the series. I bought it for my brother as a Christmas gift, and I kind of took it away from him. I never gave it back to him. I saw him playing it, and I just got hooked on the gameplay. I never played anything like it before. The music was great. The story was just, like, incredible. Like, oh, this boy, he's doing stuff, and maybe it's a dream, maybe it's not. I just thought that was, like, mind-blowing at my young age of being in the... I was in grade school at the time, and it just got me hooked. And after I finished beating it, I had to buy every Zelda game. I was obsessed with it. I mean, I started a website, and here I am now, 10 years later, playing it. So obviously, Link's Awakening played a huge role in my life, and that's why it's going to get number 5. Number 4, I'm going to give to, wow, that handwriting, Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask was a sequel to Ocarina of Time, as you all know. Used the same engine, except they expanded on everything that Ocarina of Time did and made it better. While the game might be considered a little bit shorter, like main storyline-wise, it had so much more. It's filled with side quests. It's probably one of the darkest entries to the series, while not just being like emo, kind of like Twilight Princess was. I mean, you can spend hours and hours doing side quests alone in this game. The clock feature, having 3 days and 72 hours and be able to manipulate time, is just revolutionary, and it just added a lot of gameplay elements that were just great. Majora's Mask often gets kind of like a little bit of discredit because it was so unique that a lot of people find it hard, and I'm going to be honest, I've only beaten Majora's Mask once, and I've started to play through it probably a dozen other times, and I've never done it. It's not because it's a bad game, it's just because there's so much to it that I get sidetracked playing other things in the game. So, that's going to get number 4. Number 3, Skyward Sword. This is the latest entry to the Zelda game series. Came out on the Wii, and it was the first real game to me that actually utilized the Wii's motion controls. Yes, there was hundreds and hundreds of games on the Wii, but none of them actually fully realized the potential of motion controls except for Skyward Sword. To me, this game had the best plot of any of the Zelda games, and it goes all the way back to the roots and kind of sets up everything in all of these games afterwards. It is the prequel to Ocarina of Time and all the Four Swords games, and the only thing I did not like about Skyward Sword was the limited overworld, just because they put so much emphasis on flying, so you had to fly around instead of just being able to connect everything. But besides that, Skyward Sword had just gorgeous graphic stuff. The like realistic or impressionist like graphics were beautiful, and the gameplay with the Wii Motion Plus really enhanced the series, and I don't see how they're going to ever go back to just regular controls after this. Number 2, The Wind Waker. Wow. Wind Waker oftentimes gets overlooked again because of the kiddie graphics. People are like, oh, this game's too immature for me. Looks like a cartoon. And part of that is because Nintendo presented this Space World demo with a realistic Link fighting off against Ganondorf, and it just looks incredible. And then, like, shortly afterwards, we have Cartoon Link. But the thing about the Wind Waker is never before has there been a Zelda game that is so filled with expression. The cartoon style allowed Link to be more emotional expressive than ever before. He looks at items and he, like, if you're just standing still, his eyes will go off in ways and just fill you with so much information about the game. The graphics were beautiful. Even if you dislike him, you can't argue with that. Also, it took Hyrule into a whole new spectrum, being flooded, and brought up so many questions about timeline theories, like where did Link go, why did he not come up and save Hyrule, and why was it flooded. Just the backstory to the Wind Waker is one of the greatest, and actually has the feel of a legend. It's called The Legend of Zelda, and in the Wind Waker, it's talking about the Legend of Zelda from Ocarina of Time. It's talking about how there's always a boy, garbed in green, that comes up and saves the world. And the Wind Waker just really emphasizes that legend idea that is great about the series. So that makes it get number 2. Also the music, by far my favorite in this series. So locking that one in as my favorite 3D Zelda game. Number 1, you guys all gotta figure it out if you're paying attention here. You're probably like, what? Why is this one here? But to me, it is the Oracle's games. There's 2 of them, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons. How can these get number 1 for me? Most people won't agree with me on this. I know very few people that have agreed with me, and I've been in the Zelda community since I was in the 8th grade. Now a senior in college, so that tells you something. The Oracle games, while Link's Awakening was the one that got me into the series, the Oracles were the ones that got me hooked. There is so much to do in those games, especially if you link them together. Capcom did an incredible job with taking the Zelda series from Nintendo. It was the first time that Nintendo let a third-party developer, besides CDI games, which we're not including in this, let them take control, and Capcom ran with it and created 2 masterpieces of the games. Oracle Seasons kind of takes away more of an adventure, an action element, and uses a lot of the bosses and characters from the original Legend of Zelda. And Oracle of Ages has a more of a puzzle-solving theme to it. And there was originally going to be a 3rd game, but they kind of scrapped that and combined them all into 2. The 3rd game probably would have been fantastic and made me like it even more. But the Oracles gets my number 1 spot just for being filled with so much information. When you link the 2 games together, it creates a extra plot, an alternative ending that combines and just brings everything together full circle and just makes it stand out to me as my number 1. So this is my list. I hope you guys have enjoyed my explanation. I know you guys won't necessarily agree with it. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. Bash me, scream at me, maybe let me know that I'm a genius. I'm thinking that's it. So anyway, stay tuned for next week's Sheikah Stone. Will be announced here shortly and an update, so don't forget to check your inboxes on YouTube. Have a good one, everybody.